y'all, it's Lindsay. Good morning. I have already had black coffee today, but I'm also hungry, so I have made myself some breakfast in my Instant Pot Mini. I'm gonna show that to you as soon as it is ready to come out of the Instant Pot, and I thought I would just bring you along with me as I have a regular day of a keto-friendly lifestyle. Instant Pot custard for breakfast today. I did this with 3 eggs, and I measured the volume of the eggs, added the equivalent volume of water, and then I mixed in 1 serving of the KetoChow eggnog. This is a seasonal flavor. I'm not sure how long this will be available on KetoChow's website, but while I've got it, I'm gonna use it. I do have an affiliate link down in my description box below. There is also a discount code if you would like 10% off of your KetoChow orders. I would love for you to use my link. I'm gonna let this cool down for just a couple of minutes, and then I'm gonna dig in. This week I have beef stew on our menu, and I do need some bone broth to make that. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and make my bone broth today so it's ready to go whenever I'm ready to make that stew. These are some bones that I portioned out from our whole beef we bought back in the summertime. So I'm gonna add these to my Instant Pot. I've got a little bit of water down in there. I'll plop these down in, and then I will fill up the water to above the level of the bones. And then I'm gonna add in some real salt. Because I buy the 25-pound bags, I like to portion it out into this little glass jar. It's airtight. I can keep this in my pantry and refill as I need it. And then I can store my big bag down in the basement where it is protected, and I also will not risk knocking it over. So I'm gonna get that set up. One of the beautiful things about making your own bone broth is that more often than not, there's little bits of meat left on the bones just from whenever the butcher was cutting through the animal and trying to get your different cuts sorted out. So when this finishes, I'm gonna be able to fish out all of the meat and enjoy that. I don't know if it will be ready in time for lunch or if I'll have to wait and save it for another time. But that to me is one of like the little like hidden pleasures of making your own bone broth. It's lunchtime here and I'm hungry. However, I don't know what I'm gonna have just yet. So I found some bacon hanging out in the fridge that was opened. I decided to cook that up really quickly. So that's 2.5 slices of bacon right there. And then I've got my water bottle right here. I haven't figured out what I'm gonna eat just yet for a real lunch because this is insufficient for my level of hunger right now. But once I do know what I'm doing, I will show it to you. A little bit of context. I am still in my childbearing years. Not that we're having any more children because we are all done on that front. However, that does mean that my hormonal cycle still does its typical thing. And during this next week and a half or so, I'm gonna be a lot hungrier than usual, which means that I need to either muscle up and power through it, or I can make good choices to honor my body's signals while still maintaining a keto way of life, hence the little bit of bacon that I'm gonna eat right now. And then I'm gonna go dig through here in my fridge to figure out what I can have based on what we have defrosted or what I have available. Almost always eggs are available. For dinner tonight, I'm gonna make some sloppy joes, which is my recipe that I have on my channel here. I also have the recipe on my website if you want a printable version of that. But I wanted to add that in because it's okay if sometimes you are hungrier than others and you're still in those childbearing years as a woman. It's okay. It's okay. Just roll with it. It's like the waves on the ocean. Sometimes they're up and sometimes they're down, but it's still the ocean. Lunch is ready. So I didn't really have a lot in the fridge that I was interested in cooking or getting sorted out. I didn't have anything in the way of leftovers that was viable for lunch. So I actually pulled out a tin of chicken off of my shelf in my cabinet, turned it into some simple chicken salad, just a little bit of celery, some onion flakes, salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and my homemade mayonnaise here. And then I air fried up a bunch of pork rind pellets. So I've got some hot, fresh pork rinds right here that I'm going to use to scoop out some chicken salad. If you're new here, thank you so much for being here. If you have not done so already, I invite you to subscribe. Also, if you have been here before, double check your subscriptions. I noticed here recently that a lot of people that I was subscribed to for like ages, I was no longer subscribed to, which kind of threw my brain for a loop. And then I noticed that I was subscribed to some channels that I haven't ever watched before. So I don't know what YouTube is doing, but it definitely was wonky for me. So maybe do a double check. I pulled my bone broth out of the Instant Pot. I got 1 gallon here, and I also went ahead and pulled all of the meat off of the bones that was in the pot. This is how much I got, which is between 1.5 cups and 2 cups of some shredded beef. That'll make for a delicious meal, dinner, or a lunch for somebody. That's not enough to feed the whole family, but it is definitely something to keep on hand for moments of hunger. After I strained out my bone broth into my 1/2 gallon jars over there and I picked the meat off the bones, I stuck them back in here in my Instant Pot. I refilled it up with water, and I was going through refilling our veggie box for the family. So I kept like the carrot peels, the celery stump type things, and I tossed in some onion. And then I also pulled out my Redmond's seasoned salt and popped that in there as well. I'm gonna re-cook my bones for another batch of bone broth. Usually I can get between 2 and 3 batches of bone broth, which winds up being, I don't know, probably between 1.5 to 2 gallons of bone broth. It always depends on like how large the bones are, or, you know, just a whole host of variables there. But I'm able to get a lot of bone broth out of just these few bones, which makes the whole process even more cost effective for getting our whole beef. So I've been working on that today. That's a pretty hands-off situation. I also have our dinner sort of ready to go here. This is my Sloppy Joe recipe. And then I have made some very noisy egg white bread. I made them in my little hamburger bun pan right there. So my husband and I will have Sloppy Joes on the burger buns. Tonight is a very busy evening, so I don't know if I will remember to actually take a picture of what we eat, or what I eat rather. So I thought I would give you at least the components. It is almost 8 o'clock and my husband and I are just now sitting down to dinner. Here is my plate. I've got 2 Sloppy Joes on those egg white rolls with some of my homemade mayonnaise, and I opted for a little bit of celery for some texture difference, a little bit of crunch, if you will, and this is delicious. We have the girls all put to bed, and usually my husband and I like to sit down and watch a little bit of TV, decompress after a long day, and typically we like to do that with some sort of a hot beverage, whether it's decaf coffee or a keto-friendly hot chocolate. Tonight I'm opting for a salty packet in hot water. I chose the Stoked Mango. This is definitely one of my top 3 favorites when it comes to the fruity flavors from the salty line. I also really like Zesty Orange and the melon, the Mondo melon. Those 3 top my list. I add about 12 ounces of hot water, whisk it up with my little electric frother, and it is kind of like having a fruity tea at the end of the night. It's very comforting and I enjoy it quite a lot.